Some of you have been asking about harness lines and using a harness when winging. Some people are sort of saying, why would you need it? You know, you don't need one. Some people are worried about, you know, once you're hooked in, can you unhook, stuff like that. So I'd say probably the most important thing is to get yourself a harness that's not going to damage your board. So the one I've got is got a hook that is in the middle, but it can slide from side to side. So I'm about to get on my board and I've slid my harness hook all the way to the left. So now I can get onto my board as normal, and I'm on my belly and the hook is nowhere near the board, it's off to the side. You get on as normal, absolutely no issue. And then very quickly grab the hook and put it back into the centre of your body. And then it's just a normal start. So one of the things that I find that is a little bit of a pain with a harness line is if it's particularly light and you're having to pump quite a lot, the harness line can flick around and it can sort of like slip you and smack you in the face. So that is one of the downsides. Now with a boom wing, you can actually just get rid of the harness line completely. There you go, it's out of the way and you're back to just normal, so it's quite easy to do. Obviously with a wing with handles, then it's a little bit more difficult to do that, so that's one of the downsides. But you tend to find that when it's a not particularly windy day and you're pumping a lot, that's normally when you're not particularly going to go upwind huge amounts and you don't need too much force in your arms, so you probably don't need a harness. So that's one of them choices you make, but you'll find it. To be quite honest, you find a way of pumping so it doesn't flick. What some people do is they actually tuck the harness line into one of the handles and get it out of the way. So so at the moment the wind is slightly offshore here, only probably about 10 degrees, but it's enough to make it gusty. So you're having to wait for the gust to fill in, and now we can see that's probably a good 12, 13 knots. So getting up, here we go. Now I want to use my harness, so I'm going to bring my harness lines back in again. You see my hook down there is in the middle. So you see the way that flicks around. Obviously you can have your harness lines too long, end up flicking yourself in the face, but you just find a way of getting away with it. So looking upwind for the gust, and also when you've got a day when it's obviously a bit gusty and a bit, you're using quite a lot of energy to pump, and that's another time when I find the harness comes in handy, because you use a lot of energy to pump, certainly through your arms, and then it's nice to be able to just quickly hook in, relax your arms, you know, get your blood flow back into your forearms, and then carry on. So that's a good thing. So just waiting for this gust. There's a nice one coming, and then we'll get ourselves going. But the harness that I've got is it's a wing harness. It's quite thin, so it's not like a full windsurfing harness. It's quite thin around your waist, but it's got this big sort of strap that you can put a movable hook on. So here we go. Here's some wind. So as normal. So not used a huge amount, but should I have used quite a lot of energy there, I can quickly hook in, and now I've got the ability to move my hand around, go one-handed, do what I need to do, look at my watch if I had it on, all sorts of stuff like that. Now at the moment there's almost nothing being pulled in the wing, and I can go out of the harness like normal, and I can just cruise along doing what I'm doing, and it's that lovely feeling we get from winging where we're free to move around, put the wing high, look around, do what we need to do. Now if I wanted to go upwind, that's when I find the harness really does come into its own. So at the moment I'm on a reach. See that in front of me there's that tanker. So let's go on start wind. So 30 degrees upwind, and I'm really pulling with my back hand now, really pulling. And it's alright, I'm fine, but if I want to try and get a little bit more, let's pull it more. Now if that was windy, really pulling. Now that's just sucking energy. That's just sucking energy out of my forearms. You know, they're not burning at the moment, but I can feel that that's going to start gradually losing the energy. So if I hook in, that backhand pressure has now completely gone. So is the wind. But we're coming up to a really big gust now. So let's go back onto a reach. And again, we'll pick something in front. So on the horizon there is a big white building. So yeah, there's the wind. So we're going to start going upwind now. Carve up, carve up, carve up. That's a good 30 degrees. 30 degrees into the wind. And I am pulling hard on my backhand, but if I lean my body, that backhand pressure goes away. In fact, I can actually get rid of my backhand and I'm still going upwind. And I can just do this for as long as I need to. So going upwind is when the harness really comes into itself. So upwind, now back onto a reach because there's not a lot of wind, but I'm back into that lovely feeling that we get from being on a wing, that we're free to move the wing around, we can look, we can do things with it, put it above our heads, we can pump, do what we need to do. So that's the nice thing about it. So the harness for me probably only gets used about 10% of the time. Just after pumping up onto the foil, change my hand, get a little bit of blood back, but when I'm going upwind. For me, I tend not to change my feet when I've jibed, so I tend to go toe side. I can hook in toe side, but it's really uncomfortable, so I tend not to. But when I go toe side, I tend not to go massively upwind. So for me, it's quite a nice free feeling of being able to just glide around toe side and do what I need to do. So the wind is almost completely dropped now. There's almost nothing on the water, there's nothing in the wing, but there are a couple of nice big gusts. So I'm going to just try and get to the next gust, and then I'm going to try for a jibe. But the nice thing is that with the harness hook on this one, particularly with this wide strap, I can just get rid of it. I can move it to the left or the right. It gets out of the way of my, you know, when I get on the board, it won't damage the board, it doesn't get in the way, and I'm able to get rid of it and then put it back if I need to. So that's the nice thing about it. The other thing that's nice about having the harness is it's got a couple of rings on it, and I attach my board leash to it, so that's now no longer on my foot, and it's a nice solid attachment point for my board leash. So right, let's go around the corner. A little bit of wind here now, a little bit of chop as well. So I've changed my foot strap positions on the board, and it's incredible how much of a difference it's made. I find it harder now to go around corners. I think I've got so used to the position before, and literally an inch further back on the foot straps, it's changed the whole dynamic. But that's the nice thing about this sport, you get out here and you learn. So you can see now, I don't need the harness, I'm basically on a reach, there's nothing in the wing. And yeah, it's that lovely feeling. I'm just picking my way through the chop. But if I really wanted to, you can see where the harness line is position wise. I can actually move that hook over to the right and I could hook in. But the nice thing about toe side is that it's this lovely feeling. It feels a little bit like when you're, for me, when I'm snowboarding and I'm going cross slope, sort of looking into the slope, and you've got that ability to carve around and do what you need to do. So yeah, that's nice. So what I'm using now is I'm using this wind we've got now to get back towards the beach. I'm not going to go upwind. Doesn't mean to say I can't go upwind, but I tend not to. But the lovely thing about being toe side is that toe side jibes to hillside are a lovely feeling. And now I'm back to, if I want to, I can hook in. I can go back upwind and do what I need to do. So there you go. So those of you that have been asking about harness lines and harnesses on a wingboard, yeah, I'd say they're better than to have one than not. You know, because you've just got that ability to rest your arms, you've got the ability to scream upwind, and yeah, they're not massively intrusive. Yeah, I'd say definitely the way forward. So there you go. Hope that's answered some questions. What I'll do is I'll put a photograph or a little bit of film at the end of this of what my harness looks like and the type of hook I got. I mean, there's lots of different ones out there. Also, the other type that's out there is there's a chest harness, which is also quite a nice bit of kit as well. That keeps the hook well away from your board. That's quite higher as well, so you need a shorter harness line. But yeah, I've got this one and it works really well. Okay, so see you on the next one. Okay, so you can see here the type of harness I've got. It's quite thin, so it's nice and comfortable to wear, lightweight. But what you have got is this really wide Velcro, really wide webbing. So your harness hook is able to move side to side. It's a plastic hook, so it doesn't damage the board. Nice and easy, and like I say, you can tuck it out the way, so when you get on your board it's not going to damage it. Then you can quickly slide it back and it's in a position. Nice thing is as well with the harness is it's got a ring. I put a loop on here, which is where I put my my board leash. There's another one on there if I wanted to. I could also do my wing leash, so it's nice to have it. But for me, it's there when I need it, and it doesn't really notice when I don't. So that's one of the reasons I use a harness.